Hello. I think this is the first video where I'm not wearing a hat, so you can see my massive forehead now. Uh, all the knowledge from today's video is coming out of that, so be grateful for my five finger hairline. Just knock something over. Anyways, it's a very important video. This is how I run things at the High Table Agency, and it's how I would suggest you guys do the same, because that's not English. I would suggest you guys do the same because it's like you have every single inch of ground covered. You have every possibility covered. And that's truly what hybrid OFM is. Now, I need to define hybrid to fully get you to understand. And what it really is mixing organic and non organic content together to create a multi directional source of traffic. And you can use this for basically any traffic source. And if you don't know what organic and non organic is, I'm going to break that down too. So, organic content is content that a traditional, normal creator would take, nothing external. It's literally just the things organic. When you hear organic content, I'm talking about what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to a camera. I'm not trying to bot my views. I'm not trying to get any external influence from this. I'm not running ads on my YouTube channel to get views into it. No, I'm just talking into it just like a normal influencer would. Even if I say like and subscribe, that's not non-organic. This is how the platform is intended to be used. No shortcuts. Posting content and not getting it from any external source. That is organic content. And this goes for that's the case with 99% of organic creators. No, 99% of creators have run organic or are running organic and or hybrid to an extent. You'll see that the most well-known creators have a sort of main account that can be tied back to them. Even, and I'm going to get onto this in a sec, even dating app creators, people creators who are run on dating apps, still have an Instagram that can be used. If you've ever used or if you ever run into dating apps as a traffic method, you'll see that the funnel is like you match, you conversate, and then you get directed to either a Snapchat or an Instagram. And the Instagram is usually something that has a link to a bio or wherever it may be, but it's usually a main account. That's organic. It's very simple. The non-organic alternatives are more, like I described before, external. With the example of dating apps, what I mean by non-organic is it requires not dirty play, but kind of you're not posting content as you would with dating apps. You'd get accounts deleted, you get accounts suspended. You're going to have to find a way around them using technology to continue getting traffic from dating apps. That is one method, but again, it's very varied, very very varied. There are a few other methods. For example, suicide accounts. You'll see a lot of those on Reddit. The kind that have very low karma, not many posts, and they literally just post, get to the top of a subreddit, and get banned within the space of less than a week. That's a suicide account. That is a type of non-organic. Another type of non-organic would be paid promo slash ads. So running things like asking a meme page to post you in exchange for money, asking a babe page to post you in exchange for money, running ads on. I'm not sure if this entirely counts as non-organic, but running Instagram boosts, I think that counts as organic. Um, that kind of stuff is technically non-organic. Things like shout for shout, technically not organic as well, and you find this a lot on Twitter. People reposting each other's tweets and each other's pinned tweets to get attention from one creator to another, essentially taking some of their audience for themselves. Technically a non-organic, but it's not as dodgy as it could get. Um, there's a lot more technical ways of getting about it. There's a deeper dive into the black hat territory, which I'm not qualified to get into because I'm not exactly a tech guy. And if I haven't already voiced in a few of my videos, I I'm not that good at tech. Self-admittedly, I'm not that great. So I usually delegate it to other people. Tangent. What I'm really trying to say is that non-organic is using a platform in a way that's not supposed to be used. So when you see Twitter, for example, Twitter wants you to run one or two accounts and you post like a normal human being would on those accounts. That's what Twitter wants you to do, and that is organic. Non-organic Twitter could be running 20 alt accounts which retweet a bunch of other creators, which drive traffic to a main page, which posts organic that's hybrid, which will drive traffic into your OnlyFans. And these accounts get banned very frequently, and you're asking a virtual assistant to deal with all the retweets and this and that and this and that. It's all techie. It's all computer. I need to spam everywhere so people see my shit. Boom. That's a non-organic way of going about the same platform. So I need to get onto why do either. Why do either of them? There's pros and cons of both, and hence you should do hybrid. But there are pros and cons to each, and there are creators which do run one or the other exclusively. I can't name any examples off the top of my head, but again, most creators do run hybrid. It's not exactly a secret. So why do organic, for example? Organic is the quality and non-organic is the quantity. If you didn't notice already through the examples I gave, for example, with Twitter, when I talked about the organic accounts, these accounts are talking quality. We're talking the best pictures, the best videos, the feed, the entire feed, the media is all curated. It all looks nice. The banner is clean. The bio is clean. The funnel into the OnlyFans is clean. There's nothing dodgy about it. It's an aged account. No shadow bans. All of this kind of stuff. It's quality. If you post a picture and give it 6 hours, you get fucking 100 subs in. That's organic. That's quality. You don't spray and pray with organic. The flip side, non-organic being the quantity, meaning that you'll post a shit ton. Should I use Reddit as an example? I'll use Reddit as an example. The point of non-organic on Reddit is to get onto the higher ranking, the hot pages of popular subreddits as quickly as possible, and then doesn't matter what happens to the account. When I say quantity, you're gonna post like fucking 50, 100 subreddits in one go, as many as you can post to without getting banned, in order to, to cover as much ground as possible. That's quantity. That's what non-organic is. For the most part, dating apps is a different story, but different traffic source, harder to explain. It's still quantity in a sense, but when you're running non-organic, there's a lot of volume, there's a lot of tech logistics that you need to think of. It's the reason why I have multiple phones, so I can deal with these kinds of accounts. But side note, for non-organic, you will probably need multiple phones, and you also probably need a VA. And I'm planning on getting a phone farm for myself, a little cute Docker, so I can put a bunch of my phones into it and then run everything. That's non-organic. Organic, you only need one phone. Really, you only need one phone. Just as a normal influencer would. But if you're running a hybrid, you're going to need multiple phones. Just saying. I'll give you an example actually of someone who runs both, and you will probably, if you've been in the OF space, just in general, not necessarily within the space, but even just consuming content made by Sophie Rain is going to be my example. If you've been consuming her content, you'll see that she does have one massive page on Instagram and one massive page on Twitter, and they just post like normal influencers on those accounts. I say they, it's Sophie's team. And you wouldn't expect anything dodgy. She's not following any of her old accounts. She's not reposting any of her old accounts. If you didn't look deeper into it, you would never see that she was running non-organic. But she is. If you go onto Twitter, you'll see so many different pages running paid promos saying, "Oh, look, it's Sophie Rain. It's Sophie Rain. Who is this girl? She's so hot. Oh, it's Sophie Rain." You'll see her in the comment section saying, "Oops, it's me. Oops, my video's leaked. Oops, oops, oops." She's running non-organic alongside the big, massive Twitter page with what, 2 million followers? I could be completely wrong. I feel like it's 2 million. Alongside that, to get even more eyeballs, because the audience of these meme pages or these whoever is posting the paid promos, their audience is also seeing Sophie Rain. That's non-organic. Same goes with Instagram. On her main account, she posts normal reels, she posts normal photos of herself, and you wouldn't expect anything of it. However, if you deep dive, it's not even that deep. You kind of just look around Instagram, you'll see that there are also meme pages or not even meme pages, just fan pages, babe pages, all reposting Sophie Rain and tagging her in those posts, referring the viewer, these new viewers who are coming from these babe pages, who are coming from these meme pages, who are coming from these fan pages, all of these things, all these viewers that are looking at these smaller pages are now getting transferred over to the big old Sophie Rain. That's Sophie Rain's strategy, and I've just broken it down for you, but I mean, there's a lot more to it. But what I'm saying, that's the crux of it, right? That's hybrid. That's how it works, and clearly it's working. Sophie Rain is one of the most profitable OnlyFans creators right now. She is. She's one of the most prominent. If you ask someone about OnlyFans creators and then you completely forget about the actual like, let me rephrase that. When you think about OnlyFans creators, you ask someone, "Hey, can you name an OnlyFans creator?" Sophie Rain is probably going to be one of the people that come to their head. Why? Because she's everywhere. It's not that you just recognize the face; you recognize her name as well. And her team has perfectly strategized around getting her to be remembered through having a massive page, her being perceived as famous, as well as you seeing her everywhere because all of these other smaller pages are giving her publicity, whether it's for the sake of using her face to get more views or her team is paying these pages, whatever it is, her face is getting onto your screen. That's how she runs non-organic. Now, the reason why this works so well is because non-organic's tendency, non-organic accounts have a very high tendency to be volatile, to be banned, to be suspended because of their dodgy behavior, right? If you post 100 times a day, no human is posting 100 times a day unless you're trying to bot or you're trying to whatever. If you've got some dodgy practices, that's what you'd be doing. And we're posting on websites that are owned by multi-billion-dollar companies. We can't expect them to just ignore these signs, ignore this account is posting 100 times a day. Just chill, it's fine. No, these accounts will get flagged. These accounts are susceptible to being banned. However, if you're on hybrid, just like Sophie Rain is doing, it doesn't matter how many of these alt accounts. She has alt accounts on Twitter, by the way. Not many, but there are alt accounts. No matter how many of these alt accounts get banned, these other pages, like I mentioned before, the babe pages, the fan pages, the meme pages, these pages can get banned. The big page won't. The big page will never get banned because guess what? They're posting just like a normal influencer. You can point your fingers all you like at Sophie Rain, saying she's got dodgy practices, but as long as you see the main page and the main page is doing absolutely nothing wrong, you always have that to fall back on. And that's very, very strong, considering that Sophie Rain has 2 million followers on Twitter. I don't know how many she has on Instagram. Probably a fuck ton. And it's not like she's going to lose it anytime soon. So it doesn't hurt to throw in another 10 accounts, which you can throw away for no fucking reason, and they get you another fucking 100,000 views, and they cost you like $10 fucking dollars. It doesn't hurt, because you'll never lose the big account. That's the fun of hybrid. And not only that, I want to tie this back into Sophie Rain being one of the most popular OnlyFans creators of all time, not of all time, but just right now, arguably of all time. OnlyFans is not that old. When people do see you and do think of you, you being the model, they visit the big page and not the spammy ones. They visit the big page. Say, for example, if I woke up tomorrow and thought of Sophie Rain, I would visit her bigger page. I'm not going to visit these fucking paid promos or this fucking specific video of her. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to think, oh, I'm just going to type Sophie, or even if I just remember the name, I'm not going to remember the name and then specifically find these fucking bot accounts. I'm going to type in Sophie Rain into my Instagram search bar and it's going to come up with the main account. And if I'm not following it already, I'll probably follow it. And that's the fun of it. If you are a normal viewer who's never seen Sophie Rain before, and you come across one of these paid promos or these spammy posts, and then you forget about Sophie Rain for the next day, but you remember her name, and then you remember her after 24 hours, this spammy post, this paid promo doesn't even need to tag Sophie Rain. If you remember her name, you're going to search her up. Because of that, it's super low risk to have so many promos and so many alt accounts. It's low risk if you have that big account as backup that's never going to go away. Google Calendar. That being said, let me tell you about the actual execution of hybrid. I've rambled on a lot and I'm going to have a water break, but we're going to get on. The next point after my water break is going to be the actual operational basis of it. Now, this varies from agency to agency. But it's going to help you in terms of the actual operation. I've just told you about the concept and an example of it, but I'm going to tell you about the actual operation of it now. Well needed. 17 minutes of talking, no water. Stay fucking hydrated, man. Right. Very, 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 very important first step. Never mix the two together. And that sounds very vague because I just said, oh, run both of them at the same time. What I mean by that is that if I have one phone, where's my phone? If I have one phone and then I run, if I have one phone and then I log into my organic account and my non-organic account on it, that's me mixing them. And Instagram's going to pick up on that and it's going to put the bigger account, which you want to be completely indestructible and never susceptible to being banned, it's going to put that in jeopardy. You never want to mix those. You want to have a completely separate, maybe even dedicate a phone to this. And just make sure that you never mix the two. And this is just in terms of making sure that these social media platforms don't pick up on the fact that you are actually spamming or you are doing this or you are doing that. You never want it to pick up on your dodgy behaviors. Now, an exception to this rule is replying to paid promos anywhere, pretty much anywhere. So, for example, replying to a paid promo on Twitter saying, "Ooh, that's me." So many creators have gotten away with this. There is no risk to that at all. That's not mixing though, because you're not replying to an alt account. You're replying to a promo, which is made by a third party, and Twitter can't tell you off for that. Same goes with posting a comment under a viral reel and then having the owners of the reel pin it to the top of the comment section. You'll see that a lot on Instagram. That's not dodgy practice. That's just you being positioned well. Instagram is not going to think that's dodgy. They're never going to ban you for being pinned, because that's like punishing people who leave good comments. Obviously, you may not be posting a good comment, but the point still stands. That's not mixing. What I mean by mixing is that mixing means leaving trails where Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, TikTok can pick up on the fact that, hey, this person is doing dodgy tricks on this account, but they're also running this account, so we should ban both of these accounts. You're putting them both in jeopardy, and you don't want to do that. If you're going to put one account in jeopardy, put your non-organic accounts in jeopardy. Leave the main one alone. keep it as far away as possible. Well, not as possible. Just keep it far away enough. So that being said, don't use the same types of devices. Don't use the same devices or IPs for different types of content. Obviously, if you're running a phone farm, if you have multiple phones, you're gonna have multiple SIMs in them, so it's not a massive worry. If you're using Dolphin or Ads Power or any other anti-detect browser, obviously make sure that the device fingerprint is different and the proxy is different, and you don't want to cross contaminate these different things with these different accounts, because the more that Instagram why am I using Instagram? The more that these social media platforms see that your singular IP, or see that you're doing dodgy behavior for a specific device or a specific IP, the more that they'll tie you together and the more likely that all of your accounts are going to get banned. So you want to separate them. That's very simple though. Uh, Delegate non-organic to reliable VAs. What I mean by this is that you're basically gonna have to do it, right? I can only have so many phones. Um, Saw a picture of Ruben from the TDM team, shout out TDM, with maybe 300 phones on his desk. But unless you're coked up all of the day, I doubt that he actually manages to use all of those concurrently. Point being that it's too much work for you to do on your own if you want to scale. Sure, I can have my phones here and I can run a few accounts, but that doesn't mean that I'll be able to run multiple operations for multiple models all at once consistently throughout the day unless I'm really logistically good without outsourcing. That's almost impossible. Almost impossible. So what I would advise you to do is write up some good SOPs, write up some good documentation, train your VAs properly in terms of how to run these non-organic platforms, how to raise problems, because there will be problems, how to escalate problems to you, to other staff members, to managers, and how to be proactive and avoid these kinds of problems. Train them in these things and delegate the task to them, and then focus on organic is my advice, because non-organic is basically the same thing over and over and over again with tiny tweaks over time. It's very autopilot stuff, so you can delegate it to a virtual assistant without really breaking the sweat. Whereas organic, obviously, it's quality. You want to make sure that the organic content is as good as possible. So you want to micromanage that. At least in my opinion, I like to micromanage the organic content because I feel like if you're gonna post on a main account with the biggest audience, you might as well make it really good. My philosophy. That being said, when I mentioned earlier about these little changes from time to time regarding non-organic shit, non-organic um, delegating the tasks to the VAs is going to be mostly the same, except for these minor changes over time. What I mean by that is, platform policies or updates. You're going to need to stay on top of these. It's very helpful if you know someone or you're very well connected, because they'll just point out the new updates, and you need to feed these through to your team as soon as possible. Otherwise, your non organic strategy will fail. But there's never any super big changes apart from DAs. Maybe there's never any massive changes to the platform that might wipe out your entire non-organic strategy. So as long as you're on top of it and make sure that you're keeping the risk of accounts being banned at an all-time low, you keep it low. You're not avoiding these updates. You're not trying to ignore them like they don't exist. As long as you're staying on the ball, you should be fine. Just keep yourself well informed. This could be a network of people that you might have. There's a lot of good OFM networks on Telegram, for example. Link in bio, link in description. Actually, there's a link to my Telegram group. We'll be sharing information about a lot of things. Being well connected with devs, for example. Knowing Reddit devs or subreddit moderators might really help when it comes to understanding what it means when your account gets banned and how to avoid these things, so you can save yourself a lot of time and money and accounts. But that goes for any social media platform. If you have an Instagram dev, in your phone book. Can't hurt. They'll let you know exactly what it is that changes. Maybe something might change which would lower your reach, and you need to stay on top of that. But I'm just firing off examples, but you get the gist of it. Now, at the end of the day, you are going to have an end result, and I'm going to have another water break because my throat is really dry, and then I'm going to tell you about what it should really look like. So this isn't stuff that I've haven't covered already, so it's kind of just a summary. If you're going to go now, at least like and subscribe and check the description of this video for the links. But to sum it up, what your hybrid strategy should look like should be one main account, which acts as a flagship account, which runs strictly organic content. That's what Sophie Rain does. I've gone into vivid description with that. I don't need to explain that anymore. An exception being Reddit, because Reddit has a rule where obviously if you have an account which gets banned, any account affiliated with you will get banned. And this could be IP, device, but it also could be through actual just like the mods seeing your face and being like, she's been banned before, ban her, and they do that. So if you run suicide accounts on Reddit, you have to kind of just be suicide accounts or just be organic, because once one of these accounts get banned, any other account that you might have which shows distinct features of your model might also get banned, because moderators will see it and moderators will be like, oh well, fuck you. Other than that one main account that you have, you can have as many other accounts as you like. Obviously there's a law of diminishing returns where you have this, like the marginal returns on each account will flatten out, economics. But there's a point where your accounts stop being as useful the more accounts that you make. Anyways, you can make as many accounts as you want, because you basically shouldn't care about them as long as they're giving you a positive ROI. So spending $20 to make 40 or 50 or 80 or whatever, as long as you're positive, you can just spend as much as you want. You know, I'd be perfectly fine with spending 2 million if it made me 4 million. That's fine. You know, as long as it's a positive ROI, nothing to worry about. And you can have as many accounts as you want, provided you have that one main organic account in place and completely safe, and you're not violating any of the platform terms and conditions. Should be fine. Lastly, you will see this as a well-oiled machine where you see things are going wrong, but you already have contingencies in place. You won't run into many problems with your organic account because, well, in the case that you do have like a reach problem, obviously you can appeal, or you can, they're very easy fixes. It's just an organic account. But when it comes to non-organic accounts, I mentioned before, they're very volatile. You might get them banned very easily. So what? You have this SOP, or this person who can fix it on the tech side, or this, that, another solution to whatever. That's what your hybrid strategy should look like. Problems come, they last maybe 20 minutes, and then you already have another account running under the exact same guise, because you have the SOPs in place and the VAs are very already trained, so you have nothing to worry about, and you don't even need to step in. You just see that at the end of their shift, the VA reports, oh, this account got banned, so I moved on to this one. This one's now starting to warm up, and this and that. That's what it should look like. Not you having to plug holes every 5 fucking seconds, because of course non-organic accounts are gonna get banned. They're gonna get banned. If you can get yourself into the position where you don't have to worry about non-organic at all, and everyone's trained up, and you focus on organic, your hybrid strategy is sorted. End of video. That's a hefty one. Half an hour video of me talking, 2 water breaks. But I hope this video has been really useful to you, because this is arguably one of the most successful strategy. I mean, it is the most successful strategy. Don't listen to the people who are trying to divide you into just organic or just non-organic. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's hybrid all the way. Anyways, taking the value, and if you did find value from this video, description, said it twice already, I'm gonna say it a third time. Description, there's a free Telegram group, free channel for me personally, typing a lot of my retardation, but also a lot of OFM value, a lot of life value, and announcements for when my YouTube gets new videos. Should still be on a daily pace at this point, so new videos every single day, and you'll be aware of that if you like and subscribe, or if you go into my Telegram channel. And if you're a model, there's also a link to my actual Telegram handle, and all you have to do is send me the word growth in my DMs, and I'll send over something cool. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Remember, if you think you're handsome, you better pay your ransom. Never forget. Bye bye.